Good afternoon, everybody. Jody Brozick with WinterWarriorsLive.com, joined again by head coach Dan Aaker of the Winter Warriors. Dan, how are you?
Doing good. How you doing, Jody?
I'm good. You look good for a state semifinal game coming up. Real quick, let's go back to that impressive quarterfinal victory over the familiar opponent, the Tri-Valley Mustangs. You beat them 40-0. Can you give us your last impressions of this game?
I thought it was a solid effort from our guys. I mean, we didn't get anything we didn't expect out of them. It's kind of funny talking to people after the game, and they're like, "Yeah, those guys played with you. Well, we knew they would. They're a good football team." And I thought we started the game really well. We had a nice, I think, 6-7 play drive to punch it in on our first drive to get the game started well. And defensively, really played solid up until their last drive right before half. But in the meantime, when we picked up a couple more scores and able to move the ball well offensively, and 24-0, and they started doing some things that we hadn't really seen or even prepared for, hitting tight ends. I think one thing with their tight end had been in a cast for 5 weeks and had gotten that off, and really wasn't a target. He'd been running routes, but they wouldn't look at him, and all of a sudden he's a target now. And the good news is I think that we went into that game saying we needed to limit big plays to Freeman and stop fullback, and up at that point, we did that, and I think that's why they really kind of went to some things he probably hadn't been running, and hit the tight end and moved down. We had a couple pass interference that hurt us and extended their drives anyway, but Caleb made a great play there and 4th down and inside our 10 to keep them out, and I thought that was by far the biggest part of the game. For 2 reasons. One, they did not get any momentum going to halftime, and they were going to get the ball up in the second half. So that could have been a big momentum boost for them, and we were able to curb that. And I thought we played really solid defense in the second half, never really threatened again. And we got wore down a little bit in the second half, which I kind of expected to happen just because of the way our games have went. I didn't think we move the ball. I should say move the ball, but we had some series there where we had a couple plays, but we didn't get anything. And that just hasn't happened at all last year. I think our guys up front are a little tired, and give them credit for making some plays. But overall, 40-0 win against a very solid Tri-Valley team is you'll take that anytime. We can shut them out and play well. And it was what we needed, I think, just to see a really good team that's going to hit us back and be physical and executes really well. And we've mentioned this last week and a couple weeks before, is playing these teams right now is making us earn it and proving ourselves, and that's exactly what this group needs.
Kind of sorry to hear Tri-Valley's going 11A next year in the realignment. We're going to lose them.
Yeah, it sounds pretty strong that that's going to happen. The number count, I think, is December 3rd, and just talking with their coaches and AD, they don't think they're probably going to be losing enough students by December 3rd that they'll be low. So yeah, they've been on the bubble for 10 years. They'll really happen just at the bottom. They've probably been the biggest 11B school for about the last 10 years. So eventually that was probably going to happen when they bump up.
So the great 11B rivalry, which is Tri-Valley versus Winter, disappears.
At least for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, and now tonight we finally get to see a new opponent on our schedule. For the first time in 2 years, we have a new face, and it's the Bridgewater Emory-Ethan Seahawks. They're a team that's coming up from 9AA 2 years ago. Give us our first look at the Seahawks and what you've seen on film.
Well, I think when you start with Bridgewater Emory-Ethan, you need to talk about their powerhouse at nine-man football. I mean, they've won, I think, 6 or 7 state championships. Coach Van Loer is the winningest 9-man coach in the country, not just South Dakota. We're talking country here. So they know how to win. They know how to play football. And whether there's 2 more guys in the field or not, that doesn't change how they coach their fundamentals and how they do things. And that's probably what jumps out at me the most, is how well they're coached. The second thing is just how aggressive and how they come at you, both sides of the ball. I'm talking line of scrimmage and everybody. I mean, it's just a boom, boom on everything they do, and offensively they really try to get off quick and run the ball hard. They're old school. They're nothing fancy about it. They're double tight end 99% of the time, either an eye or split back, and they come at you with trap, dive, counter, and power. And that's there's not much more than that, other than and I think they do it in a way that, well, same way we like to do it, is they do it in a way they come at you so much, and all of a sudden Now the tight ends are releasing, and they've thrown the ball pretty well. And it amazes me watching film how many times that those guys can get past or behind other teams' secondary. That's going to be big for us to stay on our toes in the secondary because they do such a good job of kind of lulling you in, and boom, they go over the top. But their style of football game has kept them in games, kept games close, and that's the way I think they like it. Their 3 losses came to 3 very good teams, and they're playing well. They were injured a little bit early in the year where Gaslin was out, and I think one of the Aaron Boyd, which is their 2 leading rushers, were out there right now against Sioux Falls Christian for sure, and one of them might have been out against West Central too. But I think they're healthy now, and there's nothing really fancy. I like watching them, to tell you the truth, as being kind of an old school. That's kind of similar to what we do. Is I like that style of football and what they do. So it sets up for an interesting matchup. I don't see the clock stopping much in this game. Teams that really want to line up and go at you, and line of scrimmage is going to be huge. And we really feel that we could have the advantage there. We should have the advantage, and we're going to have to play really well up there to minimize what they want to do, and not only moving the ball but trying to stop us. So I like watching them. They're a physical team. You can just tell they're all, and really I wouldn't really call an elite somebody that we're really worried about. We just have to watch all the time in Freeman. There's 11 guys that are all above average and blue collar. And that just sticks out as just hard nosed is the best way I could describe it.
You drew a comparison prior to coming on film to some teams that Winter is familiar with back in the 90s.
Yeah, watching them, I'm like, this reminds me of somebody. And then if I didn't click to me, it reminds me of Vermillion when Coach Culver coached them. Same thing, just the philosophy is just coming at you and then hit you on play action, and a lot of similar principles what they do. And I would put them as a late 80s, 90s type philosophy, and it doesn't matter, like I said, it's not about what I've said this before, not what you do for X's and O's. It's how you execute what you do, and if you truly believe what you're doing, it's probably going to work. And adding 2 guys to their team and to 11 man hasn't changed that, and they've been very successful in just 2 years, and I think they're going to continue to be. They've got good athletes, and I think those communities are very football rich too. I mean, you don't have that kind of success at one level and not continue to have it the next. For a lot of things, like you could say the same thing about Winter. The generations are staying there, and they're football towns, and there's a reason why they've been successful.
Final Sports Writers poll says this is the number 1 and 2 team in the state meeting at Warrior Field in the semifinals to go to the 11B championship game at the Dakota Dome. For head coach Dan Aaker, what would be the ideal game flow? How would you like to see this play out for a Warrior victory?
I think that probably, if you ask Coach Van Leeuwen, it'd be the same.
I think it would too.
Yeah, I mean, we want to have ball control and move the ball down the field the way we've been doing it. Yeah, we're going to throw at times and try to play action at times, but with our 2 styles, there's no question the biggest thing about tonight's game, without question, is the line of scrimmage. With what both teams want to do, the 2 are going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. So that's going to be the battle of wills. Hopefully we can win that battle, and then the other things that always come into play, especially in the bigger games, is turnovers and holding on the ball, limited big plays. But with what these 2 teams want to do, both offensively and defensively, the line of scrimmage is going to be critical. So I'd love to see it play out where we control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Have the time of possession usually will be a big test in teams that want to do this too. It tells you who's stopping one and who's not. So this will be a big game for us offensively to have to sustain drives. We haven't really had to do that. We hope to get some big plays in there, but this is a team that plays defense so well that we'd be satisfied 3-4 to crack and moving those first downs, and that's exactly what they want to do. So yeah, I mean, it's mirror images that the backfield is a little bit different how they do things and how we do things, but in terms of play calls and what they try to do, it's mirror images, and it just comes down to who can block and tackle better. That's what it's going to come down to.
Football,
exactly.
Dan, good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, Jody.